Hey there, I'm Lee Rowley, and this is Lee After Dark. Why? Because there's more to being a business leader than just business, dang it. Every episode, one brave entrepreneur ejects the elevator pitch and just gets real with us for a while. And today I am very thrilled to welcome Jonathan Macdonald. Jonathan, how are you?
I am extremely well, and thank you so much for this. I consider it a privilege to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much. I am glad you're here. And so we'll get on with this because, you and I don't really like lengthy
We'll talk.
introductions, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So, just real quick to run over the rules for anybody who's not familiar with this. For the next 20 minutes, you can talk about anything in the world you want but your business.
Okay.
Should you succeed, you've got 5 minutes at the end to pitch up a storm and all that. But yeah, so you've got it, I've got it. Let's hit the timer. And what do you want to get into for the next 20 minutes?
So basically, I had a series of strokes, was unable to work, and I mean, like for the first 3 or 4 years after my last stroke, I couldn't walk and talk at the same time because I'd had to relearn how to walk. And during that period of recovery, any savings I had were completely depleted. And luckily, in the UK, there is a safety net. Which helps people that are at the bottom. And so I was completely at the bottom by the time I was able to even gather my thoughts together. And I had to learn to live. Well, I didn't have to learn to live. I learned to live on a very small amount of money. It's not a lot, but it's enough. And part of the process of recovering from stroke was deleting bullshit conversations that go around your house, around your head. So people have an opinion about brushing their teeth, going to bed, what they're going to eat, whether the bus is out there, what the weather's like, la la la, yep, inside their head all day long about life. It's the story they tell themselves. The trouble is that that storytelling takes up so much neurological resource that what people don't do is think or have particularly good self-awareness, which I thought was commonplace until I met loads of really intelligent people that knew nothing about how they interacted. So because I have no money and because I learned to delete things out of my mind, so I run on a very rigid system. Tomorrow, Saturday, it's mop the floors, clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom. Then on the other week, it's bedding all the floors, bathrooms, kitchen. So I run this rotation. I have a food rotation where I don't buy anything until I've eaten everything I've bought before. That was influenced by the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. There's a line in that that says, "Take what you need, eat what you take." So you'll be aware of this. Like 30% of food is wasted. Yeah, well, when you haven't got very much money, you can't be doing that.
Right.
So, so you start developing a set of behaviors that are automatic, and that leaves me room in my head, and I have a massive canvas to play with to start trying to solve problems. So, on a voluntary basis, for about 8 years, I was trying to help children in primary education because I'd volunteered in the school. It turns out I'm a dyslexic. It turns out dyslexics commonly have multi-perspective experiences of the world as they wander through. They're seeing things from different versions all at the same time. And so I'm an adult. I'm still shaking like this, volunteering in the class for half a day a week. And so it's easy for me to take the perspective of a child. I was started with this class in year 4. So what's that? 7, 8? Small children. And the adults shouting at them. Sit still, be quiet, pay attention, stop rocking on your chair. And the threats and the coercion and the aggressive bullying nature. If you're 3 times the size of someone and you're screaming your head off at them, you have lost the plot, my friend. So I saw that and it made me incredibly angry. And I basically what I do is I go into situations where people tell me the way things are, and they never are for me, not even nearly. Like one of the schools I volunteered in was a autistic primary school, but at the very, very far end of autism. So many, no language at all. Many of the children with nappies and hoists and wheelchairs and that sort of stuff. And there was a girl there who was mostly able but non-verbal, called Poppy. And I was in there volunteer as a volunteer doing films for the classes for their end of year show. And I've did I talk to you about nostril flaring when we spoke before?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Fine, another story maybe, but basically that.
Okay.
The nostril flare is only done by 30% of people can do that, whereas 90% of people can do that. Anyway, so I'm filming this girl who doesn't normally, she won't engage at all. She sort of stares up into the mid space, doesn't engage at all. And she was in the corridor, so she couldn't turn away. And I went in on one knee, and as I did, she flared her nostrils. And I went, because this child's 9. So the fact she doesn't speak doesn't mean she doesn't understand.
Mm.
And I went, you can flare your nostrils like me. How cool is that? And I flared my nostrils at her. And I said to her, I bet we could communicate like this. And then later that day in the lunchtime break, there's so it's a disabled children's school. There's a roundabout that has doors, so you can wheel a wheelchair in there, lock it in, so and then spin the roundabout. And I don't know why other adults are so unaware of what children like, but they're going, it's like, for fuck's sake, man. So Poppy was on there, and I went up to her and I said, hey, if you flare once for left and twice for right, I'll know which way you want to go. And she went, and I spun her to the right, and she squealed with excitement, which is the only sound that ever came out of her at that school. So this is what I'm saying, is that it turns out that neurodivergence of all types have such a different experience of external data that the things we can achieve seem like magic to people that are neurotypical. And I didn't know, so I set up this coaching program. Do you know Tony Robbins? The guy, yeah. So he does this firewalk thing in a seminar called Unleash the Power Within. Mm-hmm. So I saw that watching an episode of Oprah, and I thought, oh, well, if adults can walk across hot coals, children could do anything. So I started converting the information in the course into child-friendly language, and it's basically neuro-linguistic programming, which I've been using for 26 years. And all you really have to understand is that you take a child who's a buzzing orb of energy and get them to sit still and stay quiet and act like adults in little cubicles who hate their jobs and want to die. You're not going to get the best out of them. The way to get the best out of children is to let them be ebullient and full of life and jumping and screaming and shouting. So I'm surprised I got away with this, but I produced this coaching session, which was literally the children going mad, really like crazy, just screaming and running, and it's all to do with this thing that in NLP called anchoring. So basically what happens is, okay, it's probably the same in the US. In the UK, there are bus lanes, or in fact, multiple user lanes on highways where you can only drive. Yeah, so there are specific lanes, and if you drive in the wrong lane when you're not supposed to, you get a fine. So I'm an advanced driver as well, and in fact, when the lane is not in use, so it's at certain times of the day, you're supposed to drive in them, because otherwise you're technically in the wrong position in the road. But people don't, because they have anchored in their mind the lane with the fine,
Right.
and therefore they don't pay attention to the actual notified times. So what was the point of that story? I've lost where I got to.
That's all
Train
right.
of thought. Yeah. Ask me a question, it'll come back to me, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Like, there's all kinds of questions. What don't you know? You know?
I know a little bit about a lot of things. Oh yeah, it was the Tony Robbins thing. Yeah, so anchoring. Yeah, that was what it was. Yeah, so the bus lane is an anchor. So I got these children to do a tap 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 anchor. Now, if you want, if you're prepared to, I can share screen and show you. I did it's 2 minutes of children that I coached talking about the effect of this anchor. Do you want to do? Is that all right?
That is perfectly fine, and I'm just making sure that you can share because I think it defaults to something else. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me put you on a screen share. Okay. Oh no, that's you sharing your screen. I want to share my screen.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's not what I meant to do. Ah! All right, now let me make sure that you can do. Fortunately, I have an editor who will take care of all this mess. So okay,
well,
you should be good.
Now then, hopefully this will work. Right? Can you see white space with coloured blobs?
Indeed, I can. Yes.
Okay, so this is after 8 1-hour sessions where I got the children running and screaming. It was all to rumbling underground trance music. Let me find my mouse. Where's it gone? There it is. And so this is about anchoring, and the NAC is neural associative conditioning. So you can make yourself feel any way you want, whenever you want, if you understand this principle.
What sort of times have you used your tap tap tap?
Well, once when I was skipping in the school playground, I didn't do any because I wasn't good enough.
Right.
Then 1, 2, 3, I did a tap tap tap, and then I did 10.
So you did none, and then you did 10?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I used it quite often, like when I wanted to succeed in something. For example, we had a netball match 3 weeks after the second week, and we all did tap 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 together. We all did the anchor together, and we won 5-2.
5-2.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we were doing fractions, and there was this really hard question, and I basically just used the anchor, and I got it all correct.
Sweet.
I used the anchor and the power breath.
And what does the anchor do for you?
It kind of like makes like a vibration through my whole body, so I just like jump.
What effect did it have for you when you were swimming?
Well, it boosts my confidence and it like sometimes it gives me a quicker strategy of how I'm going to do it and how I'm going to tackle the water.
Brilliant. So most of it's in here then, the power it gives you.
The anchors help me a lot because during my maths I don't get along with maths very well, so I just use my anchor and believe in myself, and it kind of all goes as planned.
How do you use your anchor?
My football matches.
Football matches. When and what effect does it have for you?
It makes me score one goal and makes me go faster.
Makes you go faster. It doesn't make you score goals because that's you. That's your skill.
Because we go back and we do the anchor. We just feel really excited and then we can learn more and we feel more excited and happy.
Is there anything you want to just say? Add? Talk about?
I would recommend this to everyone.
Would you? That's nice.
Absolutely everyone in the world.
Okay.
That I know.
That's a pretty amazing thing to say. Is there anything else that people should know?
Well, first I learnt this from you. That if you do tap tap tap, you can do anything.
So there's a phrase which says they won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And it staggered me that people professionally trained as teachers didn't understand this fundamental about communication. And it actually, I wrote a book about it, and it's 400,000 words, and I read 200 books researching it. And it turns out that, so this multiple perspectives that dyslexic brains have, I do and have always done and am continuing to do a thing called recombinative innovation. So here's my shitty phone and an iPhone or a Galaxy or whatever they are, smartphones. What was the point I was going to make? Fuck.
I'm just so happy to not be the only one doing that on one of these episodes. I'm usually just like, woo.
I forget what I'm saying in the middle of sentences. Yeah, so yeah, they could. Oh yeah, the iPhone or the smartphone is recombinative innovation. So phone, video, browser, diary, camera, video camera, all those things were brought together. The first was in 2007. And until then, BlackBerry had the market with its tiny little buttons and all the rest of it, yeah? So recombinative innovation does occur, but it doesn't occur from neurotypicals. It only occurs from neurodivergence. Because what I had done, it offended me that teachers would say, this child has this ability, that ability, and that ability. There's a whole history. One of the books I read is called Pygmalion in the Classroom. It's a book written in 1964. Basically, if you give kids to a teacher and say, these kids are really bright, don't do anything different with them, but they're the ones you want to, just watch out for them. The following year, tested by a separate teacher, the children that were believed to be gifted produced gifted results. The psychology of the adults in classrooms and the belief systems directly impact the results the children can produce. In the Pygmalion in the Classroom book, it was twice the performance of the control group. In a later experiment, Bees, which was 1967, it was 6 times the performance. So the reality is, everything they do in education at the moment, I'm surprised anyone gets out alive. I'm surprised they get any kind of result, because that boy who talks about the football. So one of the things in the program I did was called Better Ways to Use Your Brains. And I would show these children examples of children that had invented things, amazing things, just incredible things. And I had this idea. Everyone says, oh, kids can spend too much time on their games and their phones and their this, that, and the other. So I developed this idea, which was, yeah, if you try and tell them what to do, of course they're going to resist you. If you show them that behaviors can be addictive, and the way I did this was I said, how many of you have been in the car with your parents and seen them use the phone when they're driving? Every hand goes up. I go, they don't want to kill you, but they cannot stop themselves. So I invited these children to resist playing computer games for the half-term week. So for a 10-day period, no computer games, verified only by letter from parent. And that kid, who was absolutely video game mad, he'd never go out apart from playing football, resisted for the whole period. And the head teacher wrote me a letter saying that this was incredible that this child had done this. And all I did was ask them. I didn't tell them. I showed them some information. I let them absorb it. And then, so in that case, the year 6 class, I only got 10% out of 2 classes. So a class of 30, so 3, so six children managed the thing. But that was because I only thought about the idea on the Wednesday before the Friday of the break. The next school I went into, I planned it up front, put some more content in, and got 35% verified. But I know. So the bottom line is this. It seems as if all major human progress has been achieved from neurodivergence. Your Teslas, your Einsteins, your Edisons. There's a guy who's a guy's name I can't remember, who did chlorination in drinking water first. As a US guy, and he did this test on the city of Chicago without telling anybody, because if it told people that to get the authorities, it would have taken years. So he just put this chemical in the right dosage in the water, and he didn't patent the idea. So in this book, How We Got to Now, there's a series of charts as each state introduced this chlorination of drinking water, and infant mortality fell by 78%. That's what neurodivergence do. We don't fuck about. We look at it and go, no. You can do this, this. Why are you accepting this? So that's what I did for about 10 years. And it turned out that what I was trying to do it started off just being about ability, and it ended up being about so the last section of my book is called A Treatise on the Evolution of Human Consciousness, because I've discovered that the way we currently condition ourselves, we are hundreds of years behind where we could otherwise be. So how long have we got?
Well, we're going to need to wrap this section up. So
Cool.
I'll tell you what, 90 seconds for final thoughts, and then we'll move on.
I'm doing the same thing, only this time it's to change gender equality.
Okay. That was way less than, woo! All right.
Yeah.
I had to stop and go, oh, yeah, just went by. All right. So, awesome. Awesome. Well, being a man of my word, I want to give you 5 minutes to talk about the book, where people can get a hold of you, anything else you want to pitch. The floor is yours, my friend.
I don't bother pitching. What I'm looking for, though, is basically this movement I've started is called potency.world on LinkedIn. And the idea is basically to provide 10,000 female-only academies for children between 11 and 18, so their secondary or middle school education. My opinion is that the education system is an utter waste of time. The university system and the debts that go with that is also an utter waste of time. And it's basically adults enriching themselves out of the pockets of their children. And it offends me. So the places I'm going to create are going to be growth mindset. They're going to be experiential learning. They're going to be networked around the world in 5 different countries. There won't be teachers, there'll be facilitators. And basically the main problem I have with the society from a female's perspective is that 99% of all of the media for women is you've got to be a fake reality TV star, fake this, fake that, fake the other. It's about your hair, it's about your makeup, it's about your clothes. We can't have a debate about a candidate for presidency or any role without talking about their clothes. What the fuck? So basically, I'm going to create an environment where girls have a different experience, which allows their brains to develop differently. So I know 35 different things about enhanced brain performance, learn a lot from rebuilding my own brain. And so I know how to create the circumstances where, that girl at the end of that clip I showed you said, well, when I did the tap, I could do anything. I created a belief structure within her because of what she felt. So there was nothing tangible in that result. You can't definitely say doing this 3 times made her do 10-fold better than her first attempt. But what you can say is she believed it to be true, and therefore it is true for her. In the same way, if you create an environment where girls are continually failing and getting up, are continually networking, collaborating, innovating, trying, experimenting, following passions, then what happens is they learn in a way that serves their brilliance. And when they come out at 18, there'll be a different set of human beings from the people that go into it, and the effect on the economy, on the world, is currently inconceivable because it will be so huge.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic.
If it works, yeah.
Well, anything done long enough and done rightly works at some point, which is just amazing. And that's where you're putting your energy in. I see so many people who are just they deal with the limitations, they deal with all the head bullshit, and it's the only thing I've ever found, the only way I've ever found to get past it is to just do it, and something that you said about, the way the girl felt changed the belief structure. And I think that's an important thing that I want to make sure we get some clips on to promo this thing, because that's an important point. You can, I probably tried 50 times to quit smoking cigarettes, but when I finally did, and I don't even really remember what it was that triggered that feeling, but it was just over it, it's done, and there's no head chatter about it. We move on, and it's just like it never existed. And so I've spent a lot of years going, how do you get to that breaking point where it just doesn't matter anymore, and you go, just walk away. So I think that what you said there points to that.
Yeah. I was reading a book called Stuck by one of my contacts, Jill McKay, a neuroscientist coach, and she talks about forgot my train of thought again. No, carry on.
All right. Well, so where can people get in contact with you? Get a copy of your book, etc.
So I will let me put a link to my book in the chat. Hold on. So the website where they can find me is sometalentedpeople.com. I am technically the sales and marketing manager for a web design digital marketing company. I'm on LinkedIn, Jonathan Macdonald. Obviously, my beard and my face are relatively recognizable. But what I'll do, right, that's the book link if you want to share that with your peeps. And
beautiful. Let me grab that link.
Then this is the link to my LinkedIn profile. And then this is the link to my potency.world. And we're looking, as I say, for followers that are interested in changing, because we spend all our time talking about why women aren't making the inroads they should, and we're always pleased about the exception, but it's just not good enough. It's not fast enough. So the more followers I can get on that page, the more I can influence with positive messaging.
Okay, well, you just gained one, so we'll kick it off that way.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, we'll have all those links in the show notes so people can contact you directly. Any final words before we wrap this thing up?
Would you like a joke?
I don't know. You haven't told it yet.
Well, this is it. Generally, with jokes, how are you? Like one-liners, stories? What do you prefer?
I'm the one-liner sort of guy, but you just whatever your wheelhouse is.
One-liner sort of guy will do. Okay, so bloke goes into a bookshop. He goes up to the woman behind the counter and he says, "Excuse me, I'm looking for that book for men with small penises." And she says, "I'm sorry, sir, it's not in yet." He goes, "That's the one." Oh dear.
Well, we are out of time, and if you found Lee After Dark more entertaining and relevant than the rest of the track out there, then subscribe to our YouTube channel at Lee After Dark, and we're back on Anchor FM, so we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Pocket Rockets, and I don't know where else, but go listen to us there too. Well, in the meantime, we are out of time, so let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. Lee Rowley with my good friend Jonathan Macdonald saying, "Be present and be well."
Excellent.
That's okay. We got plenty of editing to do anyway.